Rita Oliveira had always claimed that the depot on Calçada da Estrela knew how to sing. During quiet evenings, when the city's yellow trams dozed like obedient cats, she would stroll between the bays and listen to the faint electric language of copper coils cooling after a day's work. Most people heard no more than a buzz. Rita, the scheduling clerk, part-time viola player, and full-time romantic, heard chords, sometimes entire cadences, threaded through the static. It was her favourite secret. 2 nights before Lisbon's grand 785th anniversary parade, however, the humming changed. Rita was double-checking rosters in her glass-walled cubicle when a sequence of notes drifted past the window. Not random consonants, but a recognizable fado phrase. Quem sabe se volta? Who knows if he will return? The melody was as old as Alfama's stairways, usually sung with a sigh and a Portuguese guitar. Coming from trolley cables, it was eerie, and it froze Rita with a mixture of delight and unease. She followed the sound along track 3, where Tram 567, a pre-war remodelado scheduled to lead the parade, was plugged into its overnight charger. The vehicle looked innocent enough, draped in half-hung bunting, but the hum repeated, unmistakable, the opening of Fado das Horas. Rita laid a finger on the polished oak doorframe. The resonance vibrated through her bone like a tuning fork. Someone had intentionally tuned the electrical frequency to the exact pitches of the song. Inside the workshop, Manuel Pereira, the senior mechanic, was refitting a brass headlamp. Grease flecked his thick moustache. He greeted Rita without looking up. "Still working? Tomorrow we begin at dawn." "Listen," Rita whispered. Manuel paused. At first he shook his head, then his eyes widened. "St. Anthony, it does sing." "It's not random," Rita said. "It's a melody about someone not returning. And did you notice the rhythm?" Short, short, long, then a pause, like Morse. Manuel squinted. "I never learned Morse." "I did, for a Girl Guide badge." Rita mouthed the pulses. Dot, dot, dash, dot, dash, dash. Slowly, letters formed, C-O-R-T-E. "Caught," she murmured. "Cut." The next group spelled F-I-O, wire, cut wire. Her heart pounded loud enough to drown the transformer. Sabotage. The word danced between them. If a main traction wire was sliced during the parade, trams would stall across Praça do Comércio with dignitaries aboard, the embarrassment live-streamed worldwide. Lisbon's pride, already fragile after budget overruns, would be shamed. Someone had left a message inside a lament. Manuel wiped his hands. Could be a prank. Or a warning from someone pressured to help, Rita said. Either way, we must find which wire and who plans to cut it. They decided to keep the discovery quiet until they had proof. Rumor could stop the parade faster than scissors. Only one other person was taken into confidence. Donna Celeste, the depot canteen cook and retired fadista, whose voice once made sailors cry into their ginginha. At dawn, she brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint while Rita and Manuel explained. Celeste's brown eyes glistened. "Fado never lies, meus queridos. If the depot sings, it wishes to be heard. Let's listen harder." The three formed an unlikely detective cell. Manuel handled anything mechanical, Celeste wielded gossip like a crochet hook, and Rita mapped schedules. They had less than 48 hours. First, they examined Tram 567. Manuel found an unfamiliar relay spliced near the pantograph coupler. The small grey box intercepted current from the roofline, modulating it just enough to produce pitched harmonics, an elegant way to hide a message inside hum. The relay also contained a timed switch that, at noon on parade day, would open the traction circuit for exactly 10 seconds. That alone wouldn't cripple the tram, but if several relays were implanted fleet-wide, the combined stoppage could gridlock central Lisbon. "Someone expects the parade to be televised," Manuel muttered. "Trams stalling simultaneously would look like antique toys." They catalogued every tram assigned to the procession. 5 were missing, out on late routes. When the morning drivers brought them in, Rita pretended to perform routine clipboard checks while Manuel slid undercarriages. 2 more sabotaged relays turned up. By lunchtime, a suspect list emerged from Celeste's kitchen counter. Outsourced electrician Paulo Gomez, lately hired for modernization works, had after-hours access. Luisa Ribeiro, a union representative battling management over overtime, had publicly predicted the parade would run off the rails. Then there was Dr. Vincent Aubry, a French transportation consultant whose technical curiosity seemed boundless. Twice he had been found taking photos at odd angles. None felt villainous in a melodramatic sense. Cozy mysteries thrived on ordinary motives: slighted egos, lost contracts, bruised civic ideals. Rita's own father, years ago, had left city service after his innovation plans were rejected. Bitterness could ferment anywhere. That evening, the depot became an orchestra again. 3 trams, each on a separate spur, produced complementary lines of the same fado, like a choral lament. Rita transcribed hurriedly inside her notebook. The Morse now spelled a full sentence. Cortefio Principal X12 Avenidas. Cut main wire 12 avenues. She understood. Lisbon's overhead catenary was segmented. Section 12 powered the Baixa grid, precisely where the parade route curved toward the Tagus. Severing that wire would freeze not just heritage trams, but modern streetcars and electrical buses using the shared feeder. "Too risky," Manuel said when she explained. "1 spark and a crowd of tourists. No saboteur wants that." "Unless the plan is to stall them, not harm them," Rita countered. "Embarrassment, not tragedy." They needed evidence connecting a person to the illicit relays. Celeste produced hearsay. Paulo Gomez had ordered a special transformer box via courier, delivered to Gate B under signature PG. Yet the parts Manuel recovered bore no manufacturer's mark. They looked hand-machined. While they debated, Rita's phone pinged with a service alert, a momentary voltage dip in Section 12. She zoomed into the SCADA logs. Someone was testing. "We split up," she decided. "Manuel, see if any depot vehicles are missing. Celeste, keep ears open in the cafeteria. I'll head to Avenida da Liberdade, where Section 12 begins." Night draped the boulevard in glossy black as Rita cycled uphill. Lisbon breathed salt mist from the river. Jacaranda blossoms perfumed the air. When she reached the small substation half hidden behind azulejo walls, she heard footsteps inside. The padlock dangled, neatly picked. Rita should have called police, but her curious heart overruled caution. She slipped through the iron door. The room glowed emerald from status LEDs. A man stood on a ladder, pliers poised above a cluster of wires. Hearing her gasp, he whirled. "Dr. Aubry?" Rita recognized the consultant's fair hair beneath his hard hat. He lowered the pliers slowly. "Madame Oliveira, I would explain, but you would not understand. Try me." His voice fluttered with nerves. He spoke of a research grant, of demonstrating vulnerabilities in historic networks to force modernization funds. Lisbon is too sentimental. It polishes antiques while ignoring safety. If the parade halts for 10 seconds, officials will beg for reforms. No one gets hurt. And if voltage backfeeds? If panicked crowds surge? Have you calculated that, monsieur? Rita advanced. You hid instructions in a fado melody because you knew some worker would decipher them and finish your dirty work. He shrugged. Poetic, non? Local colour. Rita's anger sharpened. But nobody helped you, so you do it yourself tonight. Aubrey descended, holding the pliers like a peace offering. I admire your ear, truly. Step aside and the city benefits. She considered the lonely shadows outside. He was taller, but she had home field advantage. Spying a brass bell on the supervisor's desk, an antique used to summon drivers during drills, she snatched it and struck the metal conduit behind her. The clang reverberated like church iron across the quiet avenue. Within seconds, Manuel's clattering depot vans skidded up, blue headlights slicing the darkness. He bounded through the door, brandishing a heavy wrench. Aubrey dropped the pliers and lifted his hands. Saint Anthony bless your lungs, Manuel told Rita, binding the consultant's wrists with a charging cable. They summoned the Guardia Nacional Republicana. As officers led Aubrey away, a search of his hotel room uncovered detailed schematics and 3 additional relays. The press nibbled the story, but at municipal insistence, headlines framed it as technical irregularities swiftly resolved, sparing the celebration embarrassment. Parade morning dawned cloudless. Lisbon's tiled roofs shimmered like fish scales. The depot thrummed, not with covert messages, but with the bustle of ribbons being tied, brass polished, whistles tested. Celeste distributed pastéis de nata still warm. Rita walked among the trams, feeling them breathe. The Sabotage relay from 567 now occupied a glass jar on her desk, silent and impotent. She half missed the clandestine melody. Mystery, once solved, brought a curious emptiness. Just before departure, Manuel beckoned her onto 567. Listen, he grinned, flicking a custom switch he'd wired overnight. The traction motor hummed, releasing a soft sequence of notes. The major key counter melody to Fado das Horas, hopeful instead of mournful. Celeste, perched on a jump seat with a tambourine, sang the lyrics' forgotten second verse. Quem parte regressa, seu amor guiar. Whoever leaves returns, if love guides the way. Drivers joined in, followed by apprentices hanging streamers on the rear platform. Music travelled down the line until every tram in the convoy vibrated to the same gentle cadence, weaving through air scented with roasted chestnuts. At noon, the parade rolled downhill from Grassa. Crowds applauded as the century-old vehicles glided past cafes, wheels ringing on cobbles. Beneath cheering and brass bands, Rita still detected the subtle hum, now a promise rather than a warning. Mid-route she stood beside the driver's cab, watching sunlight scatter on the Tagus. Lisbon's soul, they said, resided in Saudade, a longing coloured by hope. Tonight, her city had both. The memory of danger averted, and the soft anticipation of everything running on time. For once, the overhead wires held steady, and the only sparks were festive confetti cannons bursting gold above Praça do Comércio. Back at the depot, long after spectators dispersed, Rita lingered to lock up. The trams snored gently. She placed a hand on 567's warm flank and listened one last time. The hum offered no words, only a contented chord, tonic, dominant, tonic, resolving dispute into harmony. A perfect cadence, she decided, for a city that still knew how to sing,